Welcome to The Scoop with Erica Kroopin. Your host is the owner of Kroopin's Poopin, Scoopin. She's built a six-figure dog waste removal business and loves talking a little crap with like-minded folks. Starting and growing a small business can be scary, but Erica wants to share some tips and tricks that she's picked up along the way as she continues her entrepreneurial journey. She hopes this podcast will educate and inspire you to think outside the corporate box and do something a little crappy, like scoop dog poop. And now, here's Erica.
Before we get started, I do want to give you a warning. This recording is pretty rough. There is a nice echo. The neighborhood was very active, and I don't know what was going on with my recording equipment. But you know what? This is real life. Real things happen, and I have an episode to put out, and so here it is, you guys. So if you're listening with headphones, I'm a little sorry. I'm hoping Mr. Producer can work his Mr. Producer magic and clean this audio up. Let's get into it. What's up, Scoop Podcast? I'm your host, Erica Kroopin, and on today's episode, we're going to talk about Spring Rush. It's a Spring Rush recap. Did I achieve my goals? Did you achieve your Spring Rush goals? Well, if you're interested in hearing about that, stay tuned. How are we doing? How was Spring Rush for you? Did you survive? If you're listening to this, I imagine you did survive. Hopefully, you're not super stressed out. Hopefully, it went well. If you set goals for yourself, hopefully you achieve them. Or if you didn't achieve them, you came close. And this is the thing. If you didn't achieve them, it's okay. It's okay. It sucks. It sucks so bad. But now it's time to look back as things are starting to wind down and figure out why you didn't achieve it. What happened? Did you have unrealistic goals? Did you work hard enough? Did you have systems in place to set you up for success to achieve those goals? Well, I'm going to let you know, I did not achieve my Spring Rush goals, and I have mixed feelings about it. I am bummed. I'm bummed that I didn't achieve them. But then the other part of me was like, hey, you still made money during Spring Rush. You kept your business afloat. You kept your mental health somewhat stable, and you're still going. So don't stress yourself out too much. I had a goal of $20,000 for Spring Rush. That's what I wanted to make. I wanted to do $20,000 worth of cleans. And can you guys hear the mini bikes? I'm recording during the daytime, and my neighborhood's lit. You know, the kids are home from school. I tried to record earlier, but the way that my schedule was set up, I had to go out and scoop today because we're both like super behind schedule. And I'm gonna get into that in a minute. And we've been behind schedule pretty much all Spring Rush. We've been behind schedule. Not one week, I don't think, has gone smoothly this year. There has been an issue every single week. It's either weather, staffing issues, customer issues, you name it, there's been a problem. So we've continuously been behind schedule. So basically, we're people, right? So people have issues. There's things that come up. And in my mind, I didn't plan. I didn't think about issues coming up. I just thought about us just work, and, sun up to sundown. And I don't know, maybe I just had unrealistic expectations for the lack thereof of staff that I have. So basically, I want to tell you about things that I definitely did wrong and things that I think I need to change for next year if I want to have more of a successful Spring Rush. It's me, Crystal, and then two other scoopers. I have Crystal's my full-time scooper. I'm somewhat part-time because I'm having issues with my hand. I have tendonitis in my wrist and in my elbow. So technically, the doctors want me to not be working, to not use my hands to rest this. And I don't know, I just wasn't thinking clearly, and I just thought that I was going to be able to go out and work and I would be okay because I just don't want to listen to my body. And then I hired somebody super part-time. And when you hire, that takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of resources. And I hired two people right before spring rush happened. I should have been trying to hire at the beginning of the year or at the end of last year. That's something I would have done differently. I would have started the hiring process sooner to make sure that they are trained, all the questions can be asked, they're in the groove of things, because trying to train and trying to answer questions while going out scooping and dealing with the chaos of the ramp up of spring rush, it was too much. And I feel like a lot of balls were dropped on my end. And in the midst of all this, I brought on a virtual assistant. And you might be like, oh, a virtual assistant. Oh my gosh, they're going to help you so much. They're going to help you so much. Yes. But there was a lot of training that needed to go in. And on my end, so not only am I training a virtual assistant with how I do stuff, like they know what they're doing on their end, but they needed to learn my way of doing things. And so going back and forth with them, then trying to train the new staff, trying to go out and scoop, it just was a lot. And then my main scooper, my main squeeze, which I talked about over the past couple episodes, she got very ill. Like very ill. She had a bleeding ulcer. And so this has been going on for quite some time. And she's been feeling under the weather. And we didn't quite know what was going on, but she's a tough cookie and she was out working and she has a full schedule, a full roster. And she was still doing that. But then as the weeks were going on, like she was getting more sick and she was losing more weight. And then finally, everything came to a head. And she went to the doctor. They figured out what was going on. Okay. She was ill. She was very ill. And, you know, with the guidance of her husband and me and the doctors, you know, she took some time off and she was off for a good week and a half, solid, no working, which I know killed her. I know she hated it. And I hated it, but it had to happen because she needed to get better for her own sake and then for the sake of the business, because she is my main scooper, right? So the business needs her. You know, she's carrying a lot of houses right now. And because of her being down, right, that pulled me into the field. And if I'm in the field, my sole focus is scooping those houses. And then I have to handle issues that arise with the other scoopers that are out. And there has been some attendance issues, people not coming in. And when you're a small business and you don't have the flexibility, having to cover those houses, it sucks. It sucks. It's like, what are you going to do? You can only do so many houses in so many days. And I am really big on not trying to move houses. And so that was increasingly frustrating me. I was having to message my customers and say, hey, you know, we're behind schedule. I need to move these houses. And I was just getting very, very worked up and super, super upset. And I can't try to hire or do anything extra when I'm super upset. I'm overwhelmed. I am trying to train a virtual assistant. I have 2 new staff members that, you know, they're doing okay. They're doing well, but there's hiccups that come with hiring new staff, trying to manage that. And then now my main scooper, the one I lean on, is down and out, and I'm worried about her. We did what we could. With Spring Rush. I did about $10,000, not me, the team, we all did. We did about $10,000 worth of one-time cleans / spring cleans, along with our regular roster. Right now, we're just shy of 200 customers per week, and we kind of fluctuate between, 15%. Like we go up 15%, we go down 15%. You know, customers want to pause, customers want to come back, you know, whatever the situation is. So we have a very full roster, right? And I'm trying to juggle it. I'm trying to figure it out. So I only had a limited amount of space, because it's not like I had somebody out all week going out and doing spring cleans because I didn't hire. It was my fault. And I thought my husband was going to be able to help me longer, because normally he's laid off until like April, but we got a very aggressive ice storm. And as soon as that ice storm happened, trees were down everywhere. And as soon as that happened, he was right back to work, and didn't stop. And so he was gone. I was like, oh crap. And then, you know, Crystal went down. My wrist is in shambles. So the issue is I should have hired more. I should have been overstaffed. I was way understaffed. Because of all the stress and everything that was going on, I just decided to really focus on my mental health and do the cleans that we needed to do, take on what we could. And I had a plan. My plan is to really focus on the cleans that want to sign up for regular service. They were the priority for us in our service area. Take those on first. And then if we had time, take on the other cleans. And because I had such limited availability, I decided to raise my rates on my spring cleans. So a lot of our cleans started at $120. Once upon a time, I was only charging $50 for those cleans. Then I went up to $60, then I went up to $70, then I went up to $90. Now there were a lot of cleans that were at $90 because it was like 2 months less worth of waste. And, we've already done a pricing. I've already done a pricing podcast. So if you want to listen to that, go ahead and check out 2 podcasts ago, talk about pricing. But if you do have questions about that and you want me to do a deeper dive into it, I can always do that. But that's not the purpose of this podcast today. But basically, I raised my rates on a lot of the cleans because I had such limited availability. And I didn't want to have to go out and scoop 7 days a week. I didn't want to be scooping sun up to sundown. I've been there. I've done that. I'm only 5 years in business, but the thing is I had to listen to my body. My body is literally breaking down because I've been scooping so much. It might be to overuse. It might be to poor scooping technique. I'm not really too sure. But for 12 years, I was a pharmacy technician, and I used my right hand, the same kind of flicking motion with scanning products to pull medications and put medications where they needed to go. I also made IVs. I was also an esthetician, and I gave lots of massages. So I used my thumbs. I've used my hands my entire life, and I do a lot of typing. And I think, even though I want to think that I'm not getting older, I am. I'm 35 right now. I'm going to be 36. So my body is starting to show signs of wear and tear over the years. And I've experienced things. And I was getting down in the dumps. I was beating myself up. I'm like, what am I going to do? I blew my wrist out. I blew my thumb out. How am I going to do this business? Well, I needed to hire, but because I was dragging my feet, because I was, whatever was going on, I didn't hire adequately and soon enough, and Spring Rush greatly suffered. So next year, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make sure that I have staff. Well, I'm going to try my best because you never know what's going to happen. I'm going to make sure I hire 3 to 4 months prior. And at that time, it could be like overkill, like this sucks. Because when you hire somebody and you bring somebody on during winter scooping, it's a lot different than doing spring clean. Holy smokes, you guys. I'm having some technical difficulties with my technology. I don't know what is going on, but while I was recording, the audio went and then the visuals went. So I'm not really too sure what's going on. Oh, we got cut out there. The virtual assistant recently has been very, very expensive. I just looked at my recent bill and I was shocked at how high that bill was. So I need to get that figured out and figure out why it's so expensive. But I know that we were in a lot of communication. They answered the phone a lot. They did a lot of admin work. Like a lot. So that's the reason why my bill was so high. But, I'm glad that I have the extra money in there to take care of that kind of stuff right now. So even though it was a crazy time, I am glad that I decided to do it at the time that I did, because I had the extra money. I needed the extra help. They hopped right in and they helped kind of navigate stuff. So it was cool to have somebody to lean on. Another thing I feel like I would have done differently is the vehicles that are branded. I wish I would have had them focused in the areas where I really want to grow in. That's something that I kind of need to figure out, because having, it's like split. So I have my branded vehicles, and then the newer staff, they drive their own vehicles and they have magnets. Those aren't as noticeable. So I need to have my branded vehicles in the neighborhoods, in the areas, on the routes where I want to grow. So I need to do some restructuring there. That's something that I learned during the spring rush because I was getting a lot of calls in this one specific area that I have Crystal out in with that car. And I don't necessarily want to grow in that area. I don't enjoy the yards. They're difficult. They're not my ideal type yards. But because I have that car out there, I'm growing. I'm growing out there. And it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. But if I don't hire, right? If I don't hire again, it's going to be a bad thing. Another issue we ran into is I underpriced 2 yards. Only 2. Out of all the yards that we did, I only underpriced 1. There was 1 yard that the scooper went to, and he was there for 4 hours. I had to call this woman and say, hey, I just want to let you know that, I priced you for 1 month's worth of waste. And we have far exceeded that. I have you priced at $150. I need to bump your rate up. That clean right there would have been easily $400 or $500. I bumped it up to $200. I bumped her up to $200 because she said that's all she could afford. It was fine. Got him out of there. I obviously had to pay him way more than what I initially paid. So the profit was minuscule. It was like minuscule there. Because on spring cleans, I pay a commission. I pay a commission base. And every time that there's ever an issue that pops up like that and they're in the yard for double the amount of time or triple, I talk with them and I try to work that out to make sure that they're paid adequately because that's crazy. And that's something that I have to fix on my end. So I got to put some verbiage in there that is like a stipulation of, we'll scoop your yard and this is the price based off what you told us. But if it exceeds, I don't know, set amount of buckets or whatever, I'm not sure what the verbiage is going to be, then the price is going to increase. So that absolutely needs to happen before next spring rush. Oh, and another thing that we implemented the deposit. So Jobber has a really cool feature where you can collect a deposit beforehand. I've always been too lazy to set up the deposit thing because usually when I'm sending out my quotes, I'm tired. I'm just trying to get it figured out. I'm just trying to get them sent out. But the virtual assistant, obviously, they cross their T's and dot their I's. They sent it out. So I was collecting a $30 deposit per customer, and that made them put a credit card on file, and that means they were serious. They were serious about the service, and I don't have anybody right now with an outstanding spring clean bill. Nobody. What? That's unheard of. I'm very, very excited about that. So that was like for sure a win. A huge shout out to today's episode sponsor, Jobber, the #1 operations management software for home service business owners. Jobber is the software I use to run, grow, and manage my small pooper scooper business. Jobber helps me handle the admin tasks quicker so I can focus on growing my business and getting more me time back. From creating custom quotes all the way to getting paid my money, Jobber has my back. Yeah, we're pretty much best friends, but if I had to choose my favorite feature, I'd say the mobile app. I can create the quotes, edit the jobs, communicate with customers, and keep my eye on the staff right from my phone. If you're a home service entrepreneur looking to level up your business, look more professional, and save time, head over to jobber.com/Kroopin to start your 14-day free trial and get 20% off your first 6 months with my special link. Now, let's get back to the scoop. And also during the spring rush, I've been feeling like super unbalanced, so I hired a coach. I've been meeting with her. We talked about my calendar. My calendar is not specific. My calendar is not specific enough. On my phone, it says like, make a short. Okay, I got to make a short about what? I don't know. So I need to be more specific with that. I set up my workouts in my phone. Okay, I'm going to the gym. I'm going to work out. What am I working on? I put in there if I'm doing the treadmill, if I'm doing the elliptical, if I'm doing the booty blaster, the stair stepper, whatever it is. So when I go to the gym, I don't have to think about it. That's it. It's done. I also started meal prepping. Got my whole entire meal plan. We've been batching up dinners for the entire week because I cannot cook every single day right now. I don't have it in me. I don't have the mental space. So Josh and I have been doing that on the weekend. That's been a good bonding time for us. We go to the grocery store, we picked out the stuff, we come home and we cook it. He focuses on the meat and the hibachi grill outside, and then I focus on like the inside stuff, and then we package it all together. And even though it's hard work, it has been bonding time for him and I. And that kind of stuff pours into my cup. And I had to explain that to him. I said, this might seem like work to you, but you doing this with me is like filling my cup, and you're making me very happy right now. So thank you. And I also had to tell him that we went and volunteered at the local dog park because Westland, they're opening a dog park. And of course, we had to be there to volunteer. And I told him that as well because he came with me. And I was like, you doing this is pouring into my cup. He's like, so like doing stuff for free is like, you like this? I said, I love this. I get to talk to people. I get to meet new people in the community. I'm getting involved. I'm getting excited. And he just, it blows his mind because, he's a tree climber. So his hourly rate is much higher than a pooper scooper. Let's say that. His man hour rate is quite high. And so he looks at it logistically like, okay, I was here for 2.5 hours. My hourly rate, which I'm not going to put it out there, but what his hourly rate is, what he could have made. But I'm like, you can't look at it that way. You just got to look at it as like you're spending quality of time with your wife. And your wife's happy right now. So he's like, okay, you're happy. I'm happy. And we held hands and it was a good time. I will say this though, doing that type of work, we were doing leaf cleanup. I took a husband nap afterwards. I slept for 5 hours. My body was so sore. I was incredibly tired. And he's like, now you see why I come home and I'm so tired. I'm like, but you should be used to it by now. And he's like, Erica, I'm like, no, I get it. Like my body was wrecked from doing all those leaves. He doesn't necessarily do leaves, but he still does like that manual labor. So it's a lot different. But he poured into my cup. That was really good. And I enjoyed doing that type of stuff. And if I was working sun up to sundown and I was doing cleans on Saturdays and Sundays and out scooping throughout the week, because I'm scooping a ton now because it's just my situation. I'm not staffed right. I'm scooping way more than I should. I wouldn't have been able to go do that volunteer work. And I really needed to do it. And I wanted to do it. And that's the kind of stuff that makes me happy. So circling back to the mentor, the person, the coach that I'm dealing with, she's like, you got to balance your calendar and balance your schedule. And so that's what I've been really focusing on is just getting really intentional with that calendar and utilizing Google Calendar. And one little tip that she's given me, I have everything planned out. And when I finished it, when I'm done with that, delete it out of your phone. I said, delete it? But then you don't know what you did. That's what I was thinking. She's like, delete it. I'll tell you what, deleting that stuff out of my phone, I felt so much better. I felt so decluttered because I don't know about you, but clutter stresses me out. Having a bunch of stuff around stresses me out. And I came home yesterday. I've been sick as a dog for the past 2 days. My lymph node on my right-hand side is swollen. Something's going on. I had to clear my schedule. I had to clear my day. It's even me. I've been sick. I had to clear my schedule. It was behind schedule. I had to come home and sleep. I slept the day before yesterday. I came home. I slept for 15 or 16 hours. That's very unlike me. Very unlike me. But my body needed it. And Crystal was like, Erica, you need to rest. You're not doing okay. So I came home. I went to sleep. I felt really guilty about it. But yesterday I was sitting in my bedroom, and that's where I'm recording right now. My podcast set up, my little studio is set up in my bedroom. I have a pretty large bedroom, but it was so messy in here. My heart was pounding. It was pounding out of my chest. And I was sitting up here and I'm just looking around. I was like, there's just so much clutter. There's clothes all over the floor. There's water bottles. I should have taken a before and after, but I would be so embarrassed to show you guys. All I know is it wasn't a proper environment for creativity or for a 35-year-old businesswoman that runs a business. Her bedroom should not look like this. So there's two options. Option one was to go eat a bunch of cookies because I have not had cookies in well over a month, and I stopped. But I was craving them because when I get stressed out, my go-to is food. That's my issue. Or get rid of the stuff in my bedroom. So you want to know what I did? I did not eat those cookies. I just want to let you know. I did not touch a cookie, but I threw away like half the things in my bedroom. Things that were in bins that were on this like shelf thing that I haven't even touched, gone. Threw them away. Extra clothes that I haven't touched probably in 6 months, gone. Tossed it away. Art, decor that I was going to put up on the wall, but I haven't, gone. Out of here. I filled up an entire trash can. And my husband came home. He like looked around in the bedroom. He's like, it smells so nice up here. I'm like, I know, doesn't it? And he's like, it looks so good. I'm like, I know. And I felt inspired. And I was so excited to record this podcast today because it was something that was weighing me down. It was dragging me down. So if you got something that's on your mind and it's dragging you down, it's causing like mental stress, you got to just do it. You have to just stop for a second, clear your schedule. Whoa, I got cut off there and I don't know where I got cut off. So it is what it is. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to wrap this up. But I just want to say that no matter how your spring rush went or, whatever it is, if it's the year, if it's a season, if there's a time frame that you want to track, in the beginning of it, make a plan, set it, so have some goals. And after that's done, analyze it, look at how it went, because by you analyzing and by you tracking the data, that's going to help you be able to make changes in the future. And that's really what it's all about. You can't change everything all at once. It's difficult to do that. So if you just do one thing at a time, make one little change, then the next time you're in that type of situation, you'll be better. And then once you master that, you can kind of build upon it. So don't be too hard on yourself. Know that you're doing a good job. You should be incredibly proud of yourself that you're in this business. You're doing the thing. You're making money scooping dog poo. You know what Andrew Martinez told me? And I feel bad taking it because he coined it. He said, what is it? Scoop that poop and bag that loot. And I've tried to say it a couple times, but like, that's his thing. He came up with that. I didn't come up with that. And I'd feel like such a phony. I'd feel like such a phony if I did. All right. I just checked to see if I had any more iTunes reviews. You guys, nobody's leaving me iTunes reviews. I want to read these on air. So if you're hearing this and you haven't left me one yet on iTunes, if you could go ahead and leave one, I'd really appreciate it. I will definitely read it on air when I see it. I appreciate it. I hope you guys are having an excellent day. I want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your day and hanging out with me. I love that for us. I'm really happy that.
Thank you for hanging out with Erica Kroopin. She is so grateful and honored you decided to tune in to the Scoop podcast and hopes the information you heard today positively impacts you moving forward in business and life. Follow Erica on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Kroopin's Poopin' Scoopin'. And don't forget to follow the show in order to get notified when the next edition of The Scoop drops.